the greatest power. Stop hell and damnation. Bring down the power. Love to heal a nation is the greatest power.
At the end of feeling, there's nothing. But at the end of promise, at the end of principle, there's promise. The ILP stands on principle and has offered a new hope for Trinidad and Tobago. Political leader, the Honorable Austin Chaguanas, Deputy Political Leader, Mr. Joseph Mens, Mr. Sunil Ramjitson, Dr. Lena Wolf, Chairman, Mrs. Rekha Ramjit, Deputy Chairman, Mr. Hayden Borrell, other members of the executive, Chaguanas West, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, good night. Maybe today you didn't feel like getting up and going to work. Maybe today you said that you had enough and you were fed up of living in an abusive situation. Maybe today you decided that today would have been your last day in that situation. Maybe you said to yourself, maybe let me just stay a little more. This time things may change. Hopefully this time it will be the last lash. Maybe your feelings of hope, maybe you felt hopeful, or you're feeling hopeful that in the next 5 years that this government will be able to deliver the things that they promised in this government. Maybe. But I'm asking you tonight to remember that at the end of feeling, there's nothing. But at the end of principle, there's promise. You can stand on principle with us. You can help us take Trinidad and Tobago to fulfill its promise and its destiny. Chaguanas West, Pier Road in particular, this was the home and the birthplace of the ILP. This is the place where people of Trinidad and Tobago looked in. On Friday, the 5th of July, 2013, Trinidad and Tobago and the world looked in on Pier Road because Pier Road represented a place of hope, new dreams, new beginning, and a dawn of a new era. People of Trinidad and Tobago all over this country hope to have an MP like yours in Mr. Austin Chaguanas. People all over Trinidad and Tobago will flock to the office, over 600 of them, 500 of them, on a day Mr. Warner would see, because people saw that he represents action, performance, and representation. And people hoped that they could have a chance that in their constituencies, they would have an Austin Chaguanas. But you, the people of Pier Road, Chaguanas West, you all were blessed with that chance and the opportunity to have an Austin Chaguanas. The people of this country flocked to Pier Road on the 5th of July, 2013, because it meant a change. It meant a new beginning. And what it signified to the people of this country, and even myself, that something better was coming, and this was not the end of our hopes. Mr. Ramjit Singh said in his opening presentation that you all offered a new hope for us, a new era in politics, and we are thankful. I am thankful, and I want for you, Chaguanas West, to give yourself a round of applause. Because you all set the pace of what politics could be and is in this country. Are you willing to go back? Are you willing to put things backwards? Yes, Mr. Warner is the representative for this constituency, but are you willing to give him up? Are you willing to give him up? No. The time has come where the people of the government has said, even Khadija Amin this morning on a program stated that Mr. Warner can't win back here, but with your help, the ILP will continue to retain this seat because the people of this country long to be like Chaguanas West. In my constituency, of Lopino Borneo West, I have been praying and I have been begging and I have been longing for an MP that will even care, that will even listen to the dreams, the hopes, the aspirations, or even the very needs of the people. But we haven't seen that in Lincoln Douglas. But you all have it here in Chaguanas West. Chaguanas West is that place, that reflection, that beginning. It was the change in politics in our nation. We have the deepest gratitude for Chaguanas West. People come from all walks of life, all class, all constituency, just to meet with your MP. But you have him. But we, in the rest of Trinidad and Tobago, we have been longing for mini Chaguanas, or somebody even minuscule, quarter of what Mr. Warner is, because Mr. Warner represents, he has performed, and he has provided for his constituents. Be proud, Chaguanas West, for sharing your MP with Trinidad and Tobago. Be proud, Chaguanas West, because you have been the birthplace of the ILP. What Chaguanas West have done, you all have signified a new era in politics for us. You all have given the rest of Trinidad and Tobago an opportunity to have MPs that care, an opportunity to have MPs that will perform, an opportunity to have MPs that will deliver, that will provide, and to just be there to listen to the needs and the hopes of the people of this country. With respect, that's important. If I had to go back to Mr. Warner's opening speech when the ILP was birthed, he said that this symbol, our symbol, was where the sugarcane and the oil rig stood together. Enshrined in two circles, he said the sugarcane represented our coming together from India and Africa, and the conjuring of images to from the struggle of slavery to indentureship, from which we have emancipated and remained a solid reminder that never again we should be enslaved physically, mentally, or politically. The sugarcane and the oil rig represented the struggles and the tears of the people of Chaguanas West. The oil is the bloodline of our economy, and with the sugarcane, the message of our history shall never be forgotten. The party's color, green, embodies the idea of fertility, life, and growth. It was the color of new beginnings. The color green signified that it was a society that demanded less corruption, less crime, less immorality, and more integrity in a nation. Before 2010, we would have voted to vote out corruption. We would have voted because we wanted a change in government. We wanted a change in governments in our land. And we would have hoped that the People's Partnership would have delivered that change. Because I voted. I fell into the trap of the belief of feelings. I felt that at the end of my feelings, something would happen. But the People's Partnership government showed me that at the end of feelings, there was nothing. Because I felt that the People's Partnership could have done it for me, and they did not. I felt that Lincoln Douglas could have done it for me, and he did not. But the ILP stands on principle, and at the end of principle, there is promise. The ILP stands on integrity. The ILP stands on performance, action, and representation. And we are asking you tonight, Chaguanas West, to Trinidad and Tobago, to continue to stand with us, because you deserve better. Are you willing just to give up your MP that has sacrificed and has done so much for you and has taken $1 from his monthly salary, which he hasn't even taken because it's on his wall in the Chaguanas West office? Are you willing to sacrifice a minister and an MP that has done so much for the people that he will never turn their backs on you? Are you willing to sacrifice that? No way. No. Stand on principle. Do not stand on feelings, because feelings is what led us down this path. It led us down this empty path of promise that never materialized. It led us there. When you think about, even Mr. Warner would have shared before 2010, these MPs that currently represented us, or represents us, they would have given out their numbers, but when they got into Parliament, they changed their numbers. That you could have find them on the ground, looking out for you. You could have walked up to them, but now they're riding in their vans, the heavily tinted SUVs and Prados, in the helicopters. Thank you. And you cannot see your MPs. You cannot see them because they are in heavily tinted vehicles. But when you are ready for their vote, tell them, I will vote on principles and issues, the issues of performance, the issue of action, the issue of representation. How is it fair that they say that they love you and that you are loyal to them, but yet still the persons that they gave the contracts to were their friends and their financiers, the persons and the grassroots people in the UNC did not get anything? How is that fair? How was it fair? Because we voted on feelings. We cannot continue to operate by feelings, because if we stand by feelings, at the end of it, there will be nothing. But we must stand on principle. We must stand with the ILP, because when you stand with the ILP, at the end of principle, there's promise. And the ILP promises to take you to that hopeful place where Trinidad and Tobago will have a governance for all that is inclusive. And you, Chaguanas West, on the 5th of July 2015, you started that revolution. 2013, you started that revolution. And we are asking you here again tonight to stand with the ILP. Continue to stand with us, and we will stand with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janelle. Let's have another round of applause for Janelle. I told you she was going to speak out of her heart, and she was going to talk about with passion, and she took us back, way back down that road, when we had this struggle for Chaguanas West, which was a struggle for justice, when all of us stood together in our numbers and shook this nation from the very foundations. So thank you very much, Janelle, for reminding us. My friends, our next speaker is a former councillor from the Chaguanas Borough Corporation. He's a co-host of the Sunshine Hour, 91.9 FM radio. And he was the representative for Edinburgh, London. But let's hear it, my friends. Let's hear it for Danan Singh.
I rock it. Hey. Oh, I rock it with ya. He moving forward, they moving back. Whoa, so if you want changes of this land, Chaguanas is the man. I rock it with ya. He moving forward, they moving back. Whoa, so if you want changes of...
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The political leader of the Independent Liberal Party, Mr. Austin Chaguanas. Deputy political leaders, Chairman, Ms. Rika Ramjit. All the members of the executive, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great, great pleasure and humility that I stand before you tonight. And before I continue, let me just say, Chairman, can you never let me speak after Janelle again? Please, let me speak before. Janelle really has echoed the sentiments, and oddly enough, everyone, Sunil started it, Janelle built on it, and I'm here with the same very thing, more or less printed. And none of us coordinated. We didn't see each other for the day. None of us coordinated. And it really is a Thanksgiving, more than a political meeting. It's like a Thanksgiving to thank you, the people of Chaguanas West, for what you have done for this country. We've all sat in our own private space, and we've penned and typed little speeches to come and deliver tonight. And it's all the same team, and none of us spoke to each other at all. And so let me start by saying, Chaguanas West, will forever stand out in my mind as the first constituency to look beyond all the lines that divide us as a people. You look beyond what kept us apart and voted for what brings us together. When you were asked to vote for a representative, you, Chaguanas West, you stood tall. You stood proud, and you bravely and solidly voted against convention. And you voted for representation because you knew you were the one constituency in this country that knew what real representation, or the closest to perfection in terms of representation, Chaguanas West had it. And so, Trinidad and Tobago and all of us who are not from Chaguanas West owe you a debt of gratitude. And we want to thank you on behalf of us, our children, and future generations, because what you have done, you do not know. You do not know the impact, and you do not know the seed that you have planted. And we thank you so much for that. Your MP, Mr. Warner, never would have doubted the strength of the relationship that existed between you and himself. Chaguanas West, when there was doubt all around, when people would plant doubts, the UNC will win. This is the UNC heartland. This is the motherland. Mr. Warner would lose. When he took on the entire government, he believed. He believed that the relationship that was shared between him and you, he will not let you down, and you will not let him down. And so he brought to you the ultimate decision. You who have given to him political life. He laid his life on the altar, his political life, and he came back to you. He said they could say what they want. They could talk and they could say what they want. But this is between me and you. And you did not fail him. And we're very, very, very proud of you. And we're jealous. We're very, very jealous of you. I remember in the years leading up to 2010, 2008, 2009, 2010, I am from Longdonville. And Mr. Warner would have grown up very close to where I am from. And when in the news, because he makes news all the time, and when he makes the news and we look at the news and we see MP for Chaguanas West did this with his people, deep down we were wondering, well, he's from Longdonville. Why couldn't he be our MP? And see, that's the kind of jealousy we had of you. But he is not a selfish MP, because we had needs in our community, and our MP, Tim Gopi Singh, he wouldn't take care of it. He wouldn't take care of it. And so we decided, a group of us decided, that we will approach Mr. Warner for help in our community. But see, nobody knew him, and nobody knew how to get in contact with him. Except in our cricket team, there was a counselor. Not our counselor, he was a counselor in the Chaguanas Borough Corporation. And we asked him, would you try to organize a meeting with Mr. Warner? Let's see if he can help us. And the counselor I'm talking about is a PNM counselor, Counselor Ronald Hira. And he would have come to Mr. Warner and said, some sports people in Longdonville want some help. Would you be willing to meet with them? And imagine, it's out of his constituency. It's a PNM counselor, and he has no problem. He said, tell them I'll be there on Saturday. You all organize a meeting Saturday. And that's the kind of MP you have. Going out of his way. Going out of his way. And so one thing led to another, and he came. We had a fantastic meeting, and he put the mechanisms in place to start to help us. Then the general election was called. All this happened when he was in opposition. He came to help us when he was in opposition. This is in February 2010. In May 2010, the PP won the election. They moved into government. And soon after that, the local government elections came. I went for screening, presented myself, the only person who knew me, only person. was Mr. Warner. He said to me, I'm going to give you an opportunity to work in your community, to do for your people what you all were asking me to do. And see, that is what Mr. Warner is about, giving people opportunity. And so I became the counselor, thanks single-handedly to him. But it didn't stop there. I remember one of the most, and this is where we will compare one MP with another MP. So our MP from Caroni Central, where I told you before, is where the cricket ground fell. That is Caroni East. I am from Caroni Central, and our MP is Dr. Glenn Ramadas Singh. It was in 2012, a heinous crime was committed in our community. Absolutely heinous. Councillor Isa, who is here, and let me recognize her, she and I decided to go and visit this family, a family where a horrible crime was committed. When we went there, we decided we can't handle it. It was too big for us. So we decided, let's call Glenn Ramadas Singh. So I called him. He said he wants me to handle it. He said, you all try and handle it for me. That wasn't good enough. So we called Mr. Warner. It is not within his constituency, not at all. In 20 minutes, not so? In 20 minutes, Mr. Warner showed up. He understood the situation. It was grave, absolutely grave. The family were traumatized. Members of the family were still in hospital recuperating. They needed a place to stay when they came out of the hospital because the crime was so horrible that they could not have gone back into their home. Couldn't. One of the persons was a young lady, 17 years. Was absolutely traumatized, couldn't go back in their home. Not in that condition. When we called Mr. Warner, he came, he visited, he spoke to the people. He called Glenn Ramadas Singh. He said, you come and visit your people. They're hurting. Come and visit them. Late that night, Glenn Ramadas Singh really did come. He came. And he prayed. He prayed with the family. Mr. Warner, on the other hand, found a place for them to stay while the family was recuperating. He went and he burglar-proofed the house, put in an alarm system. He renovated the room that the crime took place in, the horrible, horrible crime, for the persons, hired a contractor, painted it, redecorated, changed the furniture, and all that. And to this day, Glenn Ramadas Singh never asked, how that family going by? 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 Never asked. Mr. Warner, the car was taken because it had to go to forensics. Mr. Warner replaced the car with a rental. The computers that were stolen, he replaced it for the children in the house, even the cell phone. So when you're talking about an MP, I have first-hand experience with your MP, and I fully endorse him. And I want to thank you for sharing your MP, and God bless you. Have a great time.
I rock it. Oh, I rock it with you. He moving forward and moving back. Whoa, so if you want changes on this land.
Thank you very much, Danan. And my friends, stories like those, these things are done. We don't boast about it. We don't talk about it. And there are hundreds and thousands of other people. Then I'm sure when they sit down and they listen to that story that you have told, there are many other people out there who could identify with having issues and nobody to turn to but Mr. Warner standing there and helping them. And that is why all of us find that this man is someone that we would like to associate ourselves with. And let me take the opportunity, my friends, also quickly, to just recognize, apart from the presence of Alderman Felicia Isahak, also Alderman Indra Maraj, you have 2 aldermen in Chaguanas Regional Corporation. You have 2 in Kuva Tabaki Talpara Regional Corporation. You have 1 as well in Sangre Grande. And there are 2 persons who were elected in Chaguanas on ILP tickets. And there's 1 person who was elected in Tunapuna on an ILP ticket successfully. And we had 103,000 votes collected across the length and breadth of this nation. So give yourself a round of applause again for that. My friends, I'm sorry? You go say it when you reach. My friends, let's move on with our agenda for this evening. I want to welcome to the microphone Mr. Amara Jagisa, who is the chairman of Chaguanas East and Chaguanas West, and also the shadow MP on the ground for Chaguanas East and Chaguanas West. He is no stranger to us in the ILP, and he is no stranger to politics and campaigning on the ground, because he has been the chairman in our struggle during the Chaguanas West by-election in the early stages. Let's welcome Amara Jagisa.
Thank you, Chairman. Political leader and member of Parliament for Chaguanas West, this constituency, the Honorable Jack Austin Warner, other members of the head table, deputy political leaders, general secretary, other members of the executive, friends, family, well-wishers, those who will be voting for the ILP on election day, come the next election. This is where the ILP changed electoral politics in the landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. One party, one man, beat a party that was existing, or that is existing for over 56 years, and also challenged and beat the whole cabinet of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Austin Jack Warner did that and put the ILP in Parliament. I came here not to condemn, but I came here to reflect, to highlight, and to inform for your edification the ILP way towards Parliament 2015. We will be in the next government. Yes. Over $400 million wasted in live sport. One man alone got $36 million to teach slow learners. And he never even wrote the date on a board. He never teach the alphabet. And when the Auditor General mentioned it, he said, if all you think I give him back the money, all you come and ask me and I will talk. Did he mean, when he will talk, that he will call the names of any persons, including ministers, that got kicked back from that $36 million? I don't know. I'm asking you. Judge it. Ruth Marchand, who was the whistleblower, or one of the whistleblowers, asked for protection for her and her bodyguard. It was refused. Her bodyguard was murdered, and she is still in hiding. Compliment Jack Austin Warner. Over $400 million in legal fees. Here is a picture in the newspaper of 5 of those millionaires. Let me call their names to you. Gerald Ramdeen, Sina Jairam, Kelvin Ramkisoon, Israel Khan, Avery Sinanan, and others. I am not lying, I'm not making up joke. I've called the names from the newspaper. Those are part of the $1 Million Men. Over $400 million mismanagement at NGC. When the auditor at NGC revealed that she was threatened, her life was threatened, and she was fired. Is that the modus operandi of this government? When you talk about what they are doing, they threaten you and you lose your job? It appears so because the Solicitor General, Donaldson Honeywell, is no longer the Solicitor General after she spoke about unethical happenings between the Attorney General office and prisoners. You all can remember Joan Honoré Paul, the Deputy Director of Public Prosecution, who said recently that no one is exonerated as yet from the email gate, and she has been attacked. The Prime Minister says she should remove herself from the investigation. The Attorney General, the new Attorney General, has a lot of things to say about her. Is that the way this government operates? $600 million transferred from NEC US account at FCB without authorization. Hundreds of millions of dollars in checks missing at tourism. This is just a small example of the wastage of over $2 billion. $2 billion that could have been used to improve this country. 2 days ago, I read in the newspaper that $60 to $80 million destroyed in fire at Macoya because of faulty fire trucks, faulty appliances. Couldn't that $2 billion be used to buy fire trucks? Or not only that, out of the over $15 million that was spent recently to buy luxury vehicles for the fire service, couldn't some be used to buy fire appliances? This could have also been used to improve the health sector. But no, because recently, 3 days ago, I read in the newspaper that there are no CDAP drugs at our hospitals. And I will talk more about that, about an experience I had today. The CWC, the Chaguanas West constituency, once published a newsletter. This newsletter is dated May 2008. In 2008, as the chairman of the Chaguanas West constituency, I will write an article in every publication. And in May 2008, exactly 7 years ago, I wrote about the condition of Mount Hope General Hospital under the PNM. And I renamed that Mount Hopeless General Hospital. And at that time, the admission area was converted to a ward. And patients, they were not beds, so patients were put on stretchers. There were 3 examination rooms for the doctor, which is about 12 by 12. And about 6 patients were crammed into these rooms. And the corridor was filled with patients. No beds. No beds. They were using stretchers. They were placed on stretchers for however long they stayed there. The week before Mother's Day, I got an allergic reaction to something, and I was awarded at the hospital. When I thought I was going to the hospital to see an improved condition, I was disappointed because the condition got worse. The same admission area, instead of having 12 beds as in 2008, 12 stretchers, there were 18 stretchers now, crammed. Men, women, in all different stages of dress. They had to face the indignity of facing the public, being like that, exposed. I say compliments to the medical staff, but shame on the government. Shame. The same 3 rooms, which had 6 patients in 2008, now had 8 patients. One patient went to use the washroom, and when he came back, another patient was on the stretcher. The patient did not go on the stretcher like that. The ward attendant put him on the stretcher because he saw an empty stretcher. They did not make up the stretcher. They put him on the same stretcher that man was on. So when he came back from the washroom, he had no stretcher, no bed, no stretcher. Another patient discharged himself. And they put another patient on that same bed without changing the linen. That's Mount Hope Place Hospital under this administration. But that's not all. That was similar to 2008. But for the 3 days I was there, I saw patients with drips in their hand, sitting on chairs, no bed or no stretchers. To compound that, imagine that's an admission area. They did not have any wheelchairs. I was almost tempted to ask the doctors if they wanted a wheelchair because Chaguanas was giving away wheelchairs. No wheelchairs in the admission area. Where I was in one of the rooms, a patient who was over 60 years old was discharged. And he took too long to move from his stretcher because he couldn't walk. For him to walk, he has to hold someone's hand or someone's shoulder. And while they take one step, he will take another step. So therefore, to cover a short distance, like from here onto the wall there, it may take about 20 minutes. He did not leave. The hospital administrator or the person in charge of allocating beds came and told him he has to leave. He said, I cannot walk. She said, don't worry. I will help you. Hold my shoulder. And when I finish with you, you'll want to take me home. So he had to hold her shoulder by force. And she took him outside. And before he could walk out through the door, another patient was on his bed. That is Mount Hopeless under this government. I say shame on the government. $2 billion wasted, and our health sector is in shambles. And that's the same condition that exists in our other hospitals. Watch. $0.5 million ultrasound machine missing from San Fernando Hospital. You all know how big an ultrasound machine is. It's missing under this government. No CDAP medication. That is what we are getting from this government. Imagine today at Mount Hope Hospital, I heard one patient telling another one that yesterday she waited from morning to evening to get medication, and she did not get them. When she came back today, she did not get any. But I say to you, that would not happen. That injustice would not be perpetrated to you under an ILP government. And I say under an ILP government because the ILP will be part of the next government. The ILP will be part of the next government. Let me read something for you from the newspaper recently. May 12th. This was a poll conducted by the Guardian Media Association. That's the Guardian, the CNC3, and all the other media houses. A constituency poll conducted by HHB, an associate for Guardian Media Limited, late last week, found that a total of 44.2% of those polled, 44.2% polled, considered whether to be either acceptable, considered Warner to be acceptable to be the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. So in that poll, when they interviewed for three parties, Jack Warner had 4.2% of the polls. And watch another poll. Jack edge up, PM down. So the ILP is rising. The ILP will be the next government of Trinidad and Tobago. Now coming to Pierre Road. Mr. Warner as MP, and when he was in the government, proposed a hospital on County Savannah Road, which would have been very accessible for Petersfield, Pierre Road, Felicity, and surrounding areas. But I want to ask the question, was that hospital turned down because Mr. Warner refused to ask for kickbacks? Was that the reason why the hospital turned down? I don't know. I'm asking. I want to make sure. You may hear about that later on. Again in Pierre Road, Mr. Warner proposed, and it was accepted, for a $65 million regional sport complex. In Pierre Road, we had already made site visits. That regional sports complex would have had an Olympic-sized swimming pool, a volleyball beach, volleyball court, and other facilities. But as soon as Mr. Warner resigned as a member of the People Partnership Government, the whole plan scrapped. Because that's your government not working for you. So don't let them fool you and tell you they're working for you. They're not working for you because they are taking away what you have. They are not giving you what is duly yours. The ILP government said, we will correct that wrong. Once we get into a government, we will correct that wrong. Pierre Road, Chaguanas West, and all other constituencies will get their just due. Remember, the PNM, the Prime Minister said that she will get, once you qualify for a pension, you will get it. And once you get qualified for your NIS, you'll get it. And when time to give you a pension and NIS separately, she said it was a misprint. Somebody copied them wrong. But I'm telling you, under the ILP government, we will delink pension and we will delink NIS, and you will not have to check and see if you have what you own, but your pension will be yours. You will qualify for a pension and you will qualify for your NIS. So you'll get separate pension, separate NIS. That's for your benefit. That's the ILP government for you. The ILP working for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I say, my name is Amarnath Jagisa, and I urge you, when you go to the polls on election day, vote for the ILP, because the ILP will be in government. And when you vote for the ILP, you are voting to be in government. Thank you.
Somebody pinch me. Hey. Trinbago, the land of happiness.
My friends, let's give Amarnath Jagisa another round of applause.
Built on the foundation of peace and love.
The man come with facts.
This nation who is now above.
My friends, let me just, you see, they didn't want me to talk in the meeting, so they make me chairman. So in between, I had to try and squeeze out a little 30 seconds here and there. Let me tell you something. When Steve talk about whistleblowing and what has taken place with $300 million in live sport, and how a man in Karapo end up being murdered in his bed in the night when he slept because the government refused to protect him, and the whistleblower, who Mr. Warner, by the way, put in a safe house and today is still alive. Let me tell you what is going on in Cuba Tabakita Paro Corporation. Chairman, I'm just squeezing out 30 seconds. Let me tell you what happened on Monday in our committee meeting. And if they want to kick me out of the corporation, they can do that. I don't care. You know what they told us? We have over $190 million in material missing from one stockpile. We have other contracts with discrepancies totaling millions of dollars. And myself and Alderman Rambaran, who is here tonight, we have been the ones raising it and looking after the public interest. You know what happened in our committee on Monday? They're telling us we can't raise those issues unless we come and tell them who are the people, who are the workers, who are bringing to us the news about the wrong things that are going on. They say, and they're refusing to even note it in the minutes. And twice they threatened to throw me out the corporation. Twice they threatened to throw me out the corporation on Monday because I insist that those things have to be recorded. Yes, thank you very much, DPL. Anyhow, my friends, that is what is going on. That is what is going on, and that is wrong. But have no fear. Have no fear. We in the ILP, what we can raise inside, we will raise it outside with you. And here to raise some matters of national concern in the public domain is our chairman, Attorney at Law, Rekha Ramjit. Let's welcome her.
Hey, what is that? Like a parasite to us.
It was was sometime in May 2010. We get a cabinet loaded with problems. No one observed from the first inspection. The cabinet heading for destruction. I mean, it came with a 5-year warranty, but the structure had pests we couldn't see. Hey, the cabinet had plenty parasites.
Oh, not too much parasite.
The foundation riddled with termites.
Oh, not too much parasite.
Can't get an exact to prop it up. Can't get the teeth.
I had to cut my song short because Sunil takes some of my time. But it was well deserved. Political leader of the Independent Liberal Party, Mr. Chaguanas, who's on his way, and all other protocols observed. A pleasant good evening to every one of you here. Those of you who have been following these cottage meetings will know that I always start with the phrase, there shall be no government in this land without the ILP. But tonight I want to make a little change because over the weekend and based on May 12th and then subsequently based on Mr. Warner's outstanding performance in Parliament, we're going to change that. And we're now going to say that the next government will be the Independent Liberal Party. You see, my friends, it's a wind of change. It's a wind of change and a taking gale force just about now. So we have to be prepared. And I want to say to you tonight, tonight is a night of reflection. And I want to say to you tonight, without reflection, we will go blindly on our way, creating more unintended consequences and failing to achieve anything useful. And do you know why tonight I want to talk about reflection? Because today, this Prime Minister said, I'm going to be going through my whole term. And I want to say to you that just about now, when we're going to be entering real election mode, when we are about to prepare to choose a new government, we must reflect on the past. And we must choose wisely. And when I say reflect on the past, I don't mean last week. I don't mean last month. I don't even mean last year. I mean from 2007 to now. Because I want to tell you something. You know what has been happening in this country? We have seesaw government. My grandson reminded me of that. He showed me a drawing and he said, what does this mean, Nan? Well, for those of you, Nan means grandmother, right? What does this mean, Nan? If you press this side, this other side come up. And when you press this side down, this side come up. PNM, UNC. PNM, UNC. Who on top, the next one below. Next time is my turn to be on top. So you press this side, PNM going up. You press this side, UNC going up. Always one of them on top. So that is why Calder Heart still outside there. That is why Anil cannot be brought to justice. That is why SIS could get $4 billion in contract. That is why we could have so much corruption in Petrotrin. That is why we could have billions of dollars paid to attorneys for work they say they were double billed, or they double billed, or somebody double pay. That is why. Because in this country, we're pressing one side and putting on the other side up. And we're not thinking about issues. We're not thinking about what is good and right for this country. Because I want to tell you something. At the end of the day, at this stage when we are now politically educated, we must always vote for principle. And even if you're voting alone, and I want to tell you that wouldn't happen, you may cherish in the sweet reflection that your vote is never lost. We have to start the ball rolling. I want to say to you tonight, and when we reflect, let us remember why the PNM went out of government in 2010. Because for the period 2007 to 2010, corruption was so high, crime was so high that this country said we ain't taking it no more. We want a change. Then the People's Partnership went into power on the basis that they will deal with crime and corruption. Remember that? Prime Minister, then political leader of the partnership, said that she was going to deal with corruption. Anand Ramlogan promised he will bring Calder Heart to justice. Is that not so, Sunil? Yes. where it's called a heart. Right. Seesaw politics, I tell you. Seesaw politics. So then you have 2010, and Kamala says to Honorable Prime Minister says to everybody, you will never have a prime minister like me to love you as much as I love you. And today, I listen on the Sunshine Hour. I want to tell all you something. There is a family or 3 families whose residences was burned down. They put them up in Belmont Community Center, am I correct? And Rudal Monilal sharing out houses. We even have a lottery for house. He has so many houses, and you know, he's so bold-faced. The man real bold-faced, you know. He promising to give 200 every week next from if they win election. Vote me and I will give only 200 houses every week. But this family, every time the lady, she find herself down in Pfizer to meet him. You know what he asks her? Where you coming from? She say, Belmont, no house for you. They are going to remove the cots. You know what a cot is? A little piece of canvas on 2 pieces of thing. The cots that they give them to sleep, they're going to remove it in a couple days' time. The microwave that they were using, they take it. The kettle they were using, they take it. And from tomorrow morning, they get no food. That is the government that says, you will never have anybody to love you as much as I love you. You had to be living in Siparia or somewhere else, not in Belmont, for this government to love you. And I say to you, Trinidad and Tobago, that when you reflect on the performance of this government, I want to remind you of certain things. Yes, they build box train. You could get them that. They are the world. We could sell services to the rest of the world. How to build a box train. You know, that is one thing we could sell to the rest of the world. How to build a box train and how to build a bridge. That's all we could do now. But, let me say this to you, that in the process of doing this government tried to impose on you, reflect on it, Section 34. Why was Section 34, why was there an attempt to put Section 34 into being? To protect their friends. Not so? It wasn't about looking after the masses of people. It wasn't about seeing about single mothers. It wasn't about seeing about landless people. It was about 2 men. Not so? He wants to sneeze. And then I want to remind you of a second thing. I'm bringing the issues to you, Prison Gate. All you know what Prison Gate is? You heard about it. And those same lawyers, where the investigation are complete yet, right, Nigel? Email Gate complete. But that one that started before, Email Gate is a whole other thing, but that Prison Gate that started before can't done yet. And one of the men who involved, guess how much money he get from the AG's office? Am I correct in saying over $7 million in attorney's fees? Am I correct in saying that, Nigel? Right. So that's Prison Gate. And then the next thing they try to force on us, because you see what? They knew the day was coming when the ILP will be the most serious threat they could face. What did they try to do, Stephen? Mitchell, what did they try to do? They tried to pass the constitutional amendment bill. And the man sitting down there, he said, no, no way. I, Stephen Mitchell, and Dane France were going to take on this government. Of course, I was their lawyer. But the point is it took 2 people, just 2 individuals in this country to say to the government, no, I am taking that. And I want to tell you this. The constitutional amendment bill was designed to do one thing. Remove the Independent Liberal Party and force all of you here to vote for either one of the seesaw parties. That was the intention. But we fought it. On August 28th last year, we started the fight. It was dropped. No more constitutional amendment bill. Until last week, I hear, what is my name, Prakash? Yeah, Prakash. I hear Prakash Ramada saying we're bringing it back. I said it on a radio program with my friend Janelle, and I'll say it again. Bring it on. We're ready to deal with you. Bring it on, because in this country, while there is an independent Liberal Party and people like Stephen Mitchell and Dane Francois, it is happening. That is what they're giving us, you know. This is the people we put there to look after the interests of Trinidad and Tobago, and everything they're doing is to make you operate as if you have no rights, because guess the next thing they did? They passed the Bail Amendment Bill. They passed the Bail Amendment Bill. And people did not react, and the reason that they did not react is the fault of the government, because we live in so much fear of crime that anytime they say we're trying something to help you, we don't analyze it. But what that Bail Amendment Bill does is to put an innocent man, not yet proven guilty, behind bars for a year in conditions that the international community describe as inhumane. What it says is, if you have a pending matter, Sunil have a pending matter. Well, my favorite person not here to use tall and handsome. So I'm going to use short and dark Sunil here. Policeman, I like him. So policeman give him a charge. And then 2 weeks down there, policeman say, oh, it's you again. Not a charge. And policeman goes into the court and says, well, you know, he had a gun. No bail. So they never had a conviction. You never had? No. Oh. So they never had a conviction in his life. If he goes to the police station, he has to get a certificate of good character. If his matter reaches high court, the judge have to say he's a man of good character, but you have to stay in jail for at least a year. And then you have to make an application to a judge in chambers for bail. And then prove nothing against you yet. That is what it does. Our constitutional right is that we have a right to bail, unless it is murder or treason. We have removed that right, and we remove it in circumstances where there's an increasing number of policemen behind bars. In our history, I had a matter in court today. So after I find the policeman behaving, for next thing I see my client walking in, normal, he get charged for an offense. Okay. But the policeman living in handcuffs. I said, what is that? Oh, you don't know Ms. Ramjit, he's one of the ones who charged for so-and-so. But he coming to give evidence against my client, eh? Hold him for something. The point I'm making is, in the circumstances that the justice system finds itself, that Bail Amendment Bill is a complete erosion of our right to liberty and freedom. But I want you to reflect on something else. This Prime Minister say, well, I listened to the tape again, so this is not hearsay. Well, from Caranage to Toko, 30,000 all you get in land. Squatters, but not if you go on the land today. Prime Minister is senior counsel. I am not. I'm very junior. But I read the law. I don't know what she does read, but I read the law, right? And I looked at the act. State Land Security of Tenure Act. You have to be on state land before 1998. I'll give you the exact date, 28th of October, 1998. Anytime you were on state land after that, they could kick you out. What the act says is, if you on state land before 1998, you are entitled to make an application before October 28, 2000 for a certificate of comfort. And then, if you meet all the criteria, you may be given a statutory lease. And after that, if you're a good boy or girl, you will then get a deed of lease for 199 years. I'm not making up these figures. I'm not making up the law. I always forget this man's name. What is my name? Jairam Simongal. Jairam Simongal come out like he really in the dark, because he come out and confessed. I have to say this is a confession that since 1998 to today, PNM government, no, I tell a lie. UNC government, PNM government, and no partnership government. They gave out 7,000 certificate of comfort and 70 leases. And Prime Minister stand up and said, give us 5 more years, we will give all the 30,000. Kamla-matics, according to my friend. Kamla-matics, according to my friend Dominic. Not doable. And I'll tell you why, and this Independent Liberal Party, we're not going to be lying to you. We're going to tell you it is a long, difficult process, but we're going to be fair. And why can it not be done? She could promise what she wanted. Right now, actually, Simongal, Jairam Simongal, saying we still have to survey to see whether or not where you are is state land. The man don't even know. He don't even know which is state land. He had to do some surveys and some investigation, and he promising 30,000 people land from Chaguanas to Toko. I don't know if there's going to be a gestation period and they're going to make some land along the way. But the point is, he don't even know whether these quarters is on state land or not state land. So I want to know if he could get up one morning and tell Sunil, see that piece of land you have there with people squatting? The state taking that from you and giving it to them. But what the act says, I want you all to understand, what the act says is that they will regularize those persons on the land before 1998. What does regularize mean? It only mean giving you a statutory lease or a deed of lease. What it also means, and I pause to welcome the boss, Mr. Austin Jack Warner, political leader and MP for Chaguanas West. I normally try to wrap up as soon as the boss reach, because I know you want to hear him, but Sunil are blaming tonight. Is Sunil take my time? So, Mr. Warner, is Sunil fault. Let me go on. I want to explain regularization to you. Regularization, according to the Act, is not only about getting a deed. Regularization means the land that you're on. That state land must be developed in such a way to become residential land. They must put roads, drainage, water, electricity. And it's only after they do that that they could give you a deed of lease. So here what happened there. Even when Jairam Simongal, find out where it have the state land, when he find that out, and he go be so busy trying to protect the UNC over the next couple of months, I don't know he'll have time to do that. But even if he find that out, he now have to start the process of ensuring that the land is brought up to residential status. Don't you think all you really want to put up with them for another 5 years to give them any chance to do that? No way! That ain't happening. But I want to tell you something else. They're forgetting to tell all you They're forgetting to tell all you here, and they're forgetting to tell the whole of Trinidad and Tobago. It's when they don't do that development, the only way you could get your deed of lease is if you pay the full fee. It's called a premium, and it's called a rent reserve. If you could pay that, then you're getting your deed. And there's something else. You have to pay for the cadastral survey and the deed and the stamp duty. They forget to tell all of that. So when Prime Minister catch Shivaps and walk up the stage and say, I'm giving 30,000 people land between Chaguanas and Toko, I don't know where and how. And you know why she said that? She begging Trinidad and Tobago for a chance. So she feel if she promised, here's what is happening here. Trinidad and Tobago and people in Chaguanas, Western Night, you know what is happening here? She's handing out these promises, and she's targeting those of our brothers and sisters who are in most need. She's targeting the needy without any intention whatsoever to assist them. Because look, I have said it to you before. Steve has talked about it. The people who got under this government, none of them are sitting down here. I don't think so. You get Sunil? No, it is SIS, it is Lakshmi Singh, it is all the attorneys who in prison gate, not this attorney, but all the attorneys who in prison gate, etc. It was never about assisting people who really need. This country needs to be turned upside down. Let the rich people now support the development of the impoverished people. That is what we need at this point in time. And I want to tell you that if you were to go back into this seesaw politics, and if you were to press this side and let the other side come up, we back into square one, and we will never be able to bring all those people involved in corruption to justice. The only party that shows that they are about bringing the stories to the public, making sure you understand what is happening, is the Independent Liberal Party, the Sunshine newspaper, the Sunshine Hours, and the Hour of Truth. Yeah. Nobody else ever bring it to you. And I say to you tonight, as I make way for my political leader, that you must always vote for principle. Even if you're voting alone, you may cherish the sweetest reflection that your vote is never lost, because you could go to sleep knowing I voted on principle. And I want to remind you that without reflection, we go blindly on our way. We might as well cover our eyes, creating more unintended consequences. We don't know what we're doing, and failing to achieve anything useful. Give yourselves a chance, Trinidad and Tobago. Make sure we achieve something useful in the next 5 years. I am grateful for your attention.
Hey, to see him, Chuck is the man from 4 in the morning. Chuck is the man, I say, most hardworking. So
yeah, thank you, thank you. Thank you for that warm greeting, All Sport. Thank you very much. All Star. Thank you very much. And I want to say thanks to all of you who are here on the table, and to this fantastic crowd here in the audience. When I was coming here tonight, I saw 4 lanes of cars, one on the left side, one on the right side, and 2 in the middle. I say, this is Spear Road. This is the road that Jack built. This is the road that Jack built. And they could run high, they could run low. They can't change the road that Jack built. But you have to ask yourself, how we have reached this far? Why are we here where we are tonight? I want to crave your indulgence, some of you, to take you back in time, for you to reflect and to see why we're here tonight as we are. Because there was a time when we were all in one big macro party, and I was the only African brave enough to do that. And years after, Africans began to wear yellow proudly. There was a time when if the present Prime Minister had to shed a chair, I would shed 10 on her behalf. My friends, there was a time when you could not say anything wrong about Kamala. I up and take you on one time. I was Kamala, Pitbull. I was Kamala Rottweiler. There was a time, my friends, when she said to the media, I was her right-hand man. And when she said so, there were about 7 ministers around her. If you see the face, boy. She said, I was her right-hand man. There was a time, my friends, there was a time when any major decision that had to be made, Canada would consult me first. And I would guide her, I would advise her, and some of the blunders that she began to make since April 22nd, 2013, the blunders she has made between then and now, she never would have made. Because I would have counseled her, I would have told her the truth, because she knew, as she knows now, I never wanted anything from party or government. I told them when I came in that I had traveled to 176 countries, some of them several times over. I told them I didn't need to get government airfare to travel up and down the world. In fact, when I came into government, I had over 20 million air miles. I see Dukaran trying to match me these days, but he has to come good. So I didn't have to fly. I didn't come here to fly. I didn't come to government for money. Because as you know well, from day one to now, I have taken $1 salary. Yes. So therefore I didn't come for money. I didn't come here for kickback. Because there is not one single contractor who could tell you, not one, that he gave me a kickback. I see they're calling to ask me about the contractors who gave some money to the Ministry of Works and those days transport for a Christmas party and a carnival party and a sports day. They called me to ask me that foolishness. But they never asked where some Christmas toys come from. They never asked. And all I say, as far as that is concerned, monkey see, monkey do. But in this case, I did for the Ministry of Works and Transport. So he went in there, dig up some files, and he saw where I left. I left in the ministry $246. I mean, I can't remember if it's 1,000 or 100, but 246, yes, 100. $246. 200 in a pan deposit. Because the POMSEC say it can't be deposited anywhere in any vote in the ministry. So that is money that remained from those three functions. He make a big issue about that. But I'll come to sewage just now. Because you see, last time I was in Chaguanas West and I called sewage name, I ended up in court. So I come with my lawyer on my left, and my court closing my car. So I don't got to worry. But I'm telling you, therefore, why have we come to where we are today? My friends, let me tell you, quickly, briefly, but slowly. Let me tell you, it's all right that you, I guess you want to send them. But I'll tell you slowly. In 2006, the UNC, in fact, before that, 2002, when it was 1818, the UNC didn't have a nickel. Not a nickel. And Manning refused to pay them any money, any salary. They couldn't pay their staff. I rushed to the scene and say, I'll pay salaries for almost all of you and your staff too, including Chandra Sharma, the teacup man. So I said I'll do that. And in 2006 or thereabouts, Mr. Pandey asked me whether I'd be better to go up for office if he asked me. I said, yes, Chief, no problem. Because I just come back from the World Cup, and there was this big euphoria, and Pandey felt that a hot, I could, of course, take them on. Jack came back from the World Cup, the smallest country ever to go to a World Cup final. And I'll tell you something, that won't be repeated in all your collective lifetime. But that apart, so then Pandey asked me, I said, yes, boss, I'll do it, no problem. Because I couldn't tell Pandey no if he asked me to help him in time of need. Because in 2006, the UNC was on its last legs. Ask Raker. COP was licking them up left, right, and center. Dukaran was at his height. I recall Pandey telling me in 2007, he said, Jack Warner, if you could full Center Mall, you could win the election. I said, no, Chief. If I full the mall, you'll stay in opposition. Because right now, you're anywhere. I said, the most you could win is 4 seats. 4 seats. And therefore, I said, I'll do it. And I became very creative. And I put in that mall 35,000 people. Ask Reka, they were in Skinner Park with 6,000 people. Ask them. COP. I remember Anel Roberts took off his jersey and exposed himself in white. COP. Having told me the night before he's UNC. That's why he is where he is. So therefore, when I filled the mall, Pandey eyes lit up. Because the fact is, I did so without a cent from the UNC. Ask them. They had no money. No money. When I heard Kamala say that, of course, UNC has no financiers, I want to tell Kamala, I was the first financer. And I remained the financer up to and after 2010. If today, the financer is no longer financial, and the guys them have passed me by leaps and bounds, so be it. I know where my money come from. I hope they know where theirs come from. You see? But the fact is, I was able to help. So 2007, Pandey licked up Dukaran, the COP. We got in opposition. Manning, of course, was the government. And I said, Mr. Pandey, you know something? I think we should step down after now. I began a movement for change at my cost. November the 8th, 2008. Yes, November 2008. I went on Win TV and announced the movement for change. A fellow called Sonil Ramdeen. And we took that campaign through all the length and breadth of the country as if we have never seen before. And we said that Pandey has to call election. In those days, Kamala was still in Pandey's bosom. In those days, Sewage, of course, and them holding the Pandey's coattail. I said to them, look, I have nothing to lose. But if we want change in the country, we have to make sure that we get a new dispensation. And Pandey refused. And boy, we marched up and down the country in ways you can't imagine. Those are people who here might remember. And then Pandey went to London. And he said to Dagasa, he put us before the disciplinary committee. He put Gypsy, me, and Ramesh. How you going to put Ramesh before the disciplinary committee? So when we went to the meeting, Nagisa there with another councillor called from down south, down Push, I can't remember his name right now. A couple of them, and Ramesh said, let me tell you something. Go ahead and try me, no? But all of you lose all your house. Boy, guys will tremble. I had Umlala with me those days. If you see, when Ramesh finished talk, man, they trembling, boy. Here I'm Nagisa. Not me, not me. I worked too hard for my house. Look, a long story short, they dismissed the case. So Pandey came back to Trinidad, and he was forced to call election. January 24th. I tell you this tonight, for the first time. Kamala and I used to meet almost 2 and 3 times per week, 2 and 3 in the morning. Yes. I ain't lying to you, I never lie yet. In the morning. At times, Sonny Lange drove me, look at me here. All over the country. There are parts of this country I don't even know. In the south. Sorry. Some places they carry me were even blacker than me. All I could see is my teeth. And I met her. I drank coffee in Pinal. I drank coffee in Couva. I drank coffee all over the place. By her grandmother's house also, thank you, Sunil. I went by her grandmother's house. I sat down with her 2:30 a.m. planning, strategizing. Because we say, listen, don't let people know that you and I are working together as yet. Vicious campaign, and so on. So we went through. When they called the election in December, Kamala called a meeting in Siparia. I was in Switzerland. I sent a girl from Arima, I didn't call her name, to tell Kamala, go full speed up behind her. I then called, and then Kamala said she's going. She going. I came back here and campaigned as never before. I had to go up too, but I wasn't for but Ashvani Mahabir. I was very happy. I dismissed him because I know that Chaguanas West in those days and hopefully now were loyal. And therefore, when Canberra won on January 24th, I am saying to you, I was one of those who contributed to that. But prior to that, in the movement for change, when they had a congress in Rienzi, and we were marching to Rienzi, they blocked us at the gate from going in. Who blocked us? Suraj, Colin Paratap, Gopi Singh, Chandra Sharma, Gopi Singh. Look who blocked us, We couldn't go inside. And they hold on to Pandey and say, oh, look here, movie and thing and so on. Gopi Singh, Vasant Bharat, Munilal, Wade Mark, Chandra Sharma, all of them back in Pandey in 2010, January, 2009, December. And then January election call. He said, boy, I call Bas, and Bas tell me how I'm a dog and a mule and so on. I said, Gopi Singh, will you sign or not? He said, I will sign, but Jack Boy, oh God is hard. Weeks before, I begged Munilal to sign. He said, wait now, Jack, wait now, why you hurry so? Finally, Munilal signed. We had 8 signatures to 7. To make it look nice, I sent out a 9th signature. I asked Vasant Bharat to sign. He refused. He refused then, he refused thereafter, and he refused up to now. He never signed. Vasant Bharat never signed. When we got 8 signatures, I jumped in a car with Munilal. I said, come with me by Max. I gave Max the letter with 8 signatures. And therefore, Pandey is deposed as leader of opposition and Kamala is leader of the opposition. I did that. I did that. So Manning called election, foolishly, some months after, May 24th. Between January and May 24th, I tell you this, there was nobody more indefatigable in campaigning than Jack Warner. Because my role was to win the corridor for the party. Because they said to me that Chaguanas West is a safe seat, you don't have to come here at all. And it's true, I ain't come at all. Though I might not get the highest vote, 18,007 something. But I campaigned on the corridor. I walk with Kamala from Mova Junction way up to Gandhi. We went by the market in Arima, had a meeting. We had one inside Gandhi. We had one into Apuna. We had one in Aruka. Whistle stop. Kamala and me in front and everybody else behind. We showed that the two races could come together, male and female, African and Indian. I'm talking because I tell you it pained me. And we won the election. After the election, my friends, 5 of us sat down in a house in Apuna to pick the cabinet. I ain't calling no name, a house in Apuna. And at that meeting, I'll tell you this though, one of the guys who was there said, I want no office, no ministry. He's a trade unionist. Then she asked the others, what do you want? What do you want to do? I said, listen, let's do so, let's do that, let's do that. And I was the spokesman. In fact, I will tell you this, before the election, to sit down with the COP, it was I, Kamala, sent to sit down with Dukaran and Ganga Singh to negotiate, Kamala sent me to sit down with Dukaran and Ganga Singh. And she told me, Jack, try and get 21 seats. Because if they leave us and so on, we could still be in government. Somebody say one TV signal being blocked. You could tell me what, please? They say one TV signal is not being blocked. And I mean, you have to expect this, eh? So try your best and see what you can do for me, please. All right? So the fact is this, I'm saying to you, that Dukaran cave in and give us 21 seats. How we do it and why, I'll never know. Are you stupid? I will never know. How could this? Because with all the COP, we could never have won. And therefore, we went in a place called Campo Restaurant in Chaguanas. I sat down with Dukaran, me alone. Dukaran, Ganga Singh, Tom Harry. And Dukaran said, I want this. I said, no. I want that. I said, no. Take that. I want this. I said, no. Take that. I took 21 seats. Tupi took 2, like 23. And he took the rest. My friends, I tell all of this to tell you the role I've played in the present government. I ain't finished yet. after the election, and he picked ministries, I said, Prime Minister, if you have to give me a ministry, give me Ministry of Works and Transport. I said, because, Prime Minister, I have to redress the imbalance that took place before. Because before, all the development was in the north of Trinidad. I said, Prime Minister, give me work and transport. I'll do it in the south. And they can't say anything but race, because African Chaguanas will pave road like the crazy down in the south. And a pave road, AI pave road. In south, in north and east, a build bridge and thing and so on. I tell you something, I paved like you're crazy. Yeah? All in the south, because I knew they couldn't talk about race. I could talk about race. I, African Jack, paving in Indian areas. What a big thing. Right? Huh? Kuchawan trace get paved too. Kuchawan trace get paved too. And equally, while that's happening, I paved in Chaguanas. And for 5 months, my Prime Minister, who I could have given my life for, had been doing nothing. I said, nothing. You here for the first time tonight. I had about 16 boards under me. She took away all, left me with 3. I said nothing. When I had a tiff under me, I had Caribbean Airlines. I had a tiff with the chairman because I didn't think he was going correctly. She moved Caribbean Airlines, put under finance. I said nothing because I thought that the party was bigger than me and so on. My friends, let me fast track now because I only have a long night. I decided to write a book, so you can read a part of the book. Jack and Kamala would be the front page. Yeah, I'm the cover. Let me tell you something. I want to tell you one more thing. When I left national security, I did my best to fight crime. Because wherever I go, I try to do my best. And if you look at the record of national security for the past 4 years, 5 years, you'll see the highest point was under Chaguanas. In fact, when I left that security, the police commissioner said it was a sad day. The head of the army said it was a sad day. All where I go, they tell you the same thing. In Laventil, a sad day. All the police youth clubs, sad day. But the fact is this, I was, the Prime Minister was a victim of a vicious cabal. So I was here, and of course, FIFA, that is 10,000 miles away, whom I had a fight with 4 years before, finally decided that they will do an inquiry on Chaguanas. Oh, no big thing. And the guy doing the inquiry, I didn't say a single word, was never interviewed, nothing. And he made some decisions and so on. And the Prime Minister was in New York. And when she saw the guy, they asked her, what do you have to say about Chaguanas? She said, I'm stunned. At that point, I'm stunned. Okay? She came back here. And when she came back here, the son tell me, don't come to me here in the airport. I said, what? But I'm always in the front line. So I began to bring people pull my ears. Then the following day, there was a cabinet meeting down in the Philippines, where most meetings are held. And they said, Jack, you're about to come to the cabinet meeting. I said, oh. So I began to craft my letter one time. She said she wanted to see me at 11 o'clock, then 1 o'clock, then 3 o'clock, then she saw at 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, I said, Prime Minister, what's the problem? She said, well, I know this FIFA report, CONCACAF report, I don't know, I have to, of course, consider your position. I said, no, you don't have to. I said, Prime Minister, I will resign. I'll resign. Give me a few days to clear my desk, and by Tuesday, I'm gone. She says, okay, no problem. When I come out the door, I saw Chandra Sharma, Suraj and Munilal alone outside, and she inside. I said, help me. Before I reached Twin City at her prayers, the Prime Minister called down the defense force to call my security to tell me, of course, I have to resign now. I said, no big thing. So at that point in time, right away, I lost security, I lost car. I had to rush down with my wife's car in a cardboard box to climb my desk. But though I couldn't resign, up to now, Ram Logan, who fired, has security for himself, for his family, and his children. But that's another story for another time. But the same night, I had to go in a prayer meeting, so I go on. I said, this can't be right. let me go back now to the people in this constituency for validation. Because the fact is this, they put me in parliament. I owe it to them to come and explain, and if they say, go back for office, Chaguanas, because I support you, I'll go back. But I must come back here. Before I came here, I said, look, let me get 3 renowned lawyers to look at the FIFA report and give an advice, a ruling. The chairman was Zainul Hussein, QC, SC. You had Bonan Commission, who taught Kamala in school. He was QC. And Andrew Mitchell from England, QC. All top men. The chairman was Zainul Hussein. All 3 of them, to a man, said the report isn't what the paper is written on. Zainul Hussein, who is presently the chairman of the Integrity Commission, called it a kangaroo court. Kamala disregarded everything they say. I said, Chaguanas has to go because Suwit said he must go, because Ramlogan said he must go, Muna said he must go, because I was preventing them from doing excesses, which I thought they should not do. I talk about another time. The leading position, president of the youth-elect prime minister, they had 100 people, and in the last 12. And for him to win, you have to endorse him. Or you have to endorse him. And I'm asking you, he's done the last 12. And if I give you his career, at 14, he wrote 3 books. When he was 19, he did this. He, of course, look at that. But the point I'm making to you is, he spoke on my behalf. And what you have to do for me, to say thanks to him, is to between Saturday, 9 o'clock, between tonight at 9 p.m. and Saturday, it change. Vote is next week. But I go still tell them, come, son, come. Come and tell them what they have to do. Because you see, when I was in trouble in Pierre Road, this young speaker spoke on my behalf. Tell them what you have to do, and I'm doing it first. Tell them.
Good night, everyone. If you see me looking a bit frazzled, not in ILP wear and so on, it's because currently I am lacking parents. And let me explain what I mean by that. I have one father currently shadowing Chaguanas East-West. I have a mother taking on the entire borough corporation. So what I would like you all to do is be my parents. If you see me doing anything wrong, if you have any advice to me, do not be afraid to come up to me and beat me like a cool Indian drum. So basically what CNC3 is doing is they're still in the teething process of the voting. And tonight, they have decided to elect 3 people who didn't pass the panel of judges. The panel of judges included Mikila Pandey, Martin Daly. I don't know why they feel as though they want to include 3 that those individuals couldn't see any promise in. But they want to raise the number from 12 to 15. And because of that, the entire process of voting will now have to be revamped. So what I'm advising you all to do is follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. They all have the same name, Youth Elect TT Richard Jagasa. Youth Elect TT Richard Jagasa. Once you do that, all the information, as soon as I get it from CNC3 and Guardian Media Limited, I will post it out to you all. Be sure to vote within the time frame. Be sure to get your friends and families to vote. And don't remember, be my parents. Be my guidance.
You understand? You understand why I'm proud of the guy? I tell you, in Felicity, when I'm looking for you speaker, he spoke. So they said, you all said to go back and fight the election. I went back. My friends, I want you to understand. I went to every party group, 31 party groups, out of 31. Every one of them said, Chaguanas, we want you. I went to ENZ with the nomination of the groups. I said, here are my nomination for 31 party groups. Mrs. Pasabi says, I put me sitting on a chair. There were about 8 people for 6 hours. I sit on a chair. And then I had to be screened. Who screened me? Munilal, Marin Kudre, and Molinar, Marin Kudre, Chandra Sharma, and Ramadan Singh. You see my luck? Chandra Sharma, Ramadan Singh screened me. But no problem, I sit down there. They screen me, and they ask me all kind of foolish questions. And I answer. And then I still want to know now who they'll have as a candidate. Because 31 out of 31 supported me. I was the party chairman. I was the first real African in the party. I was the party first financer, and so on and so on and so on. I went in the rain at Pepper, how do you call it again? Pepper Sauce Corner. Kamala going to announce now the candidate. And I'm in the rain, so help my God. Fold my arms. And Kamala watched me and said, Khadija Amin. As a party, we remain independent. They accuse me of joining the PNM and being a PNM. I, who stood up in Parliament for the past 2 weeks and who asked 25 questions alone, including supplementals, I caused them to take back the cybercrime bill. I caused them to take back the Industrial Relations Amendment Bill alone. But I tell you something. I was never, while I was alone in Parliament, I was never lonely because I knew Chaguanas West was behind me. There is nobody in Chaguanas West who I turned back. Even the old people, when they couldn't get their money, their pension, over 400 of them couldn't get a pension, I paid all of them the pension. And I told them when they get it to keep it. You name it, I did it. And this is not a boast, it's to tell you where my heart is. And I thought that I would have been the embodiment, the living vehicle of one who embodies both the African and the Indian races. Because with me, I never treated anybody differently. And I thought Kamala on my side or I on her side, we could have ruled this country for years to come. I never thought, after 5 years, that Kamala and they would have to fight to win an election. I never thought after 5 years, you had to have on US putting all over the country, your government working for you. I never thought, and this goes on and on. Look at today, 5 years after, they're turning sod every Monday morning, opening more schools than you have children, building more hospitals than you have patients, and so on. After 5 years, who thought? But had Kamala and I stayed together, it would be a walk in the park. But the fact is, she didn't want me. She didn't want me. And therefore, I say tonight, to tell you, tonight, I announce to you, that the ILP has decided we shall remain independent and we shall field 41 candidates in the election. So therefore, thank you very much. Laventil East, Laventil West, Chaguanas East or West, we coming. We coming. Digo Martin West, we coming. Separia, we coming. Oro Push East and West, we coming. We coming. To Apuna, we coming. And San Fernando East and West, you better believe we're coming too. So therefore, if anything marks our independence, that decision I give you tonight spells it out. And moreover too, I want to tell you, that announcement has been made not to change the mind of the Chamber of Commerce, you know. Because we are going there. We are going there. They reject us before on the most spurious of reasons. And tonight I tell you, Catherine Kumar, we are coming there. Not going there. While they're debating, we walking. And guys, I tell you tonight, put on your walking shoes. Put on your walking shoes. You will walk as never before. Put on your green shirts. You'll need them more than ever. And on Sunday, while the other two parties, one in Nelson Mandela ground, and the other in Constantine Park, fetting and partying, Sunday morning we in church. We having an interfaith service. upper floor of Passage to Asia. And we are going there to thank God for bringing us through these past 5 turbulent years. And hoping to God that we don't ever get a chance to go through that again. I thank you.